That's the one joke in this where I'm like, that may be a step too far. That's like
maybe
a
have we
U-Bowl movie
considered
joke.
that he is the Tooth Fairy? I mean, it doesn't have to be that dark.
The Tooth Fuhrer.
There you go. Yeah.
There it is.
I hate myself for laughing at so many Nazi puns.
Welcome back, everyone, to S1E1, the show where each week we pick a different sitcom, watch just the first televised episode, and forgetting anything we might know about the future run of that show, rate it and decide if it's the show we want to greenlight or cancel. This week we're going to be talking about Danger 5. Danger 5 went 13 episodes over 2 series on SBS 1 and then SBS 2 in Australia. Today we're talking about episode 1, I Danced for Hitler, originally airing February 27th, 2012. So to get things started, I'm Jay Gags. With me as always, the boys, Gordo, Joe, Nick, and Ferg. What's going on, guys?
Hello.
Kill Hitler.
Ooh, crush the enemies of the Fuhrer.
All right, so
Can we just get it out of the way right now? This show is if Inglourious Bastards, Scooby-Doo, and Monty Python had a child together.
I
that's a
get
good
a
description.
big. This could have also very easily fit into like the world of trauma. I got a big trauma.
Yeah.
vibe.
Funny
Very
you all
trauma.
say that.
Yeah.
I got Team America World Police.
All right,
if it
so
was
I
live
definitely got
action.
that.
I
too.
got that too.
Yeah, because it's got a lot of like Thunderbirds or Go, which is I think a big thing that
Yep.
Team America was riffing on.
I got a lot of those like campy, like B-movie sci-fi.
It was
Like-
made to look like old spy shows, like from the 70s. Like it very
Yes.
much
Like the
has.
Mod Squad.
They are shot that
Yeah.
way. The whole the grain of the camera, everything about it. It was intentionally done to be like a satire to that.
What year
era.
was this?
2012.
Oh, they tricked me. I really
What?
thought it was old.
Yeah, no, it was
Yeah,
made
I
to
thought
look
just
that way.
like set to be
What
old.
the fuck? They tricked me good. I thought this was like a 1979 production.
No, I mean by design, it was made to look that way.
no
I d-
shit. Wow,
yeah.
good for them. They totally fooled
Me
me.
too.
And I do want to say up front, obviously, just in the name of the show, this deals with a lot of humor, but in regards to World War II. So the character of Adolf Hitler is very present in it. So just in case that's something that you're not super comfortable with, we just want to give you a upfront warning about that now. But it is that is very much the subject matter, just so you're aware going forward.
The character of Adolf Hitler.
Well, that's
And
how it's
Joseph-
used.
I
though.
know. It's just that sentence is
Yeah.
funny.
And Joseph Goebbels.
I actually have in my notes when we started this podcast. I never
it
thought I'd
Goebbels?
have to write down and describe a Joseph Goebbels blowjob scene, but here we are, S1E1 family. Here we fucking are.
So, I mean, my history is not phenomenal. I'm more of a science math guy.
Joe, did you
Is-
have to rip up that fan fiction part of your notebook? Like, fuck, somebody
I was a
did
little
it.
mad that they beat me to it. Yeah,
So that person is also real, like in history.
yeah. He was the
Yes.
propaganda
Oh, yeah.
minister for the Third Reich. He's one of like the most famous Nazis of all time.
And
Yeah,
how
he's
do you
like number 2.
how do you say his
He was
last
the
name?
head of the SS.
Goebbels.
Goebbels,
Goebbels.
like gerbils.
Laugh. No, everyone laugh. No, that's a good thing. Laugh.
Yeah.
Fuck Hitler and fuck Goebbels. It's okay to laugh at these fucking idiots.
Yeah, it was like Hitler, Himmler, and Goebbels were like the trifecta of.
Yeah, like Heinrich
Was-
Himmler, Joseph Goebbels, and Adolf were the big
Was-
three.
Was Himmler the SS? And
Yes.
Goebbels. Okay, all right. So I got that switched up. I said Goebbels was SS.
No, Goebbels was propaganda minister, so he was the one who made all the
I didn't
films
know
and
it was
everything.
pronounced Go. I thought it was like a Goebbels type of thing. I didn't know
No.
if the R was.
Yeah, I had it written out, and I'm glad you guys said it because I would have butchered it the entire show. So now I know it's
What
like
were you going to call it, Jay?
I'd have to read it again. And
Globbles.
it would be like phonetic, yeah. So I don't have it in front of me.
I'm one of those people who, for sure, has watched 10 billion hours of World War II documentaries, and they always say Goebbels, so I just go with that because the dude died 70 years ago. So,
Oh
like,
yeah, I mean I don't
you
care
know,
if I get it
I'm
wrong.
not saying I'm right, but
No, they say it on the show.
They said it once in the
Goebbels.
beginning,
Yeah.
right?
They say it a few times.
I'm looking up the Google pronunciation right now,
Joseph Goebbels.
and it says Goebbels.
Goebbels.
Yeah, it's pronounced Gowblz. I could play that again for you.
Joseph Goebbels.
Yeah, but do you put it in like a German like will it read it like a German person would pronounce it?
Well,
or
we're
is
not
that like
speaking
American?
German, but I mean, it's got a picture of him.
Mm.
The American pronunciation. Oh, I can change it to the British pronunciation.
That's probably more accurate.
Play it again.
Joseph Goebbels.
So there's kind of an R in the British one.
Yeah.
Joseph Goebbels.
That's what they always say in the documentaries.
Because I thought it was
Yeah,
Goebbels.
I'm with you, Joe.
And just to start off, had anyone watched this show prior to us recording? I certainly had
No,
not.
I hadn't even
No.
kind of heard about it.
Gordo, you are the one who presented this to us. What was the motivation behind that?
So, actually, this is sort of a fan pick. Two people whom I work with are fans of our show.
Thank you for
PJ
listening.
Yeah, PJ and Dane. Shout out to them.
Thank you, guys.
PJ came up to me and said, "Have you ever heard of this show?" And I said, "No, I haven't." And he goes, "I think this show would be amazing for you guys to do." He goes, "I just want to hear you guys do it." He goes, "I think you guys would just have a lot of fun with it." And I was like, what's the plot? And he told me the plot, and I was like, there's no way I can't pick this. It sounds too funny to not do.
I still can't believe this is a modern show. Like that completely. I didn't even bother looking it up. Like I
Me
figured.
too.
Not even a modern show, but this was funded by the Australian government. This is their PBS. They paid a government grant to these people to make this show. Like that would be our PBS paying like us to make this show.
Yeah, no, so I read up on this a little bit, and I didn't write the names of the creators
Australians
down.
have always had a stranger sense of humor, I think.
So the creators of the show had made like a web series and then movie called Italian Spiderman, which I sent you guys a link to the movie. I don't know if anyone clicked it.
I watched the trailer, but I haven't seen the full movie yet.
I had
So-
already seen the full movie before.
So the idea of that movie was kind of making fun of other international versions of superhero movies where they don't really have the licensing and make their own renditions of these characters. And these things exist all over the world. So they made that movie. Then they were approached to do a television series based on that, but because of licensing and stuff, they couldn't make that work. So they couldn't do Italian Spider-Man as a show. So they went forward and pitched a few different ideas for other shows that they could do instead of that. Danger 5 being one of the ideas they pitched. That's the one that the network ultimately decided they wanted to go forward with. So this is all a byproduct of that. Before Danger 5 aired, they made a web series called The Diamond Girls, and those was kind of, it was kind of like a prequel that aired on YouTube leading up into this series starting. But we are, of course, covering episode 1 of the actual series that aired called I Danced for Hitler.
I like the idea that the Spider-Man lawyers too hard to deal with, but the Hitler estate, they don't really care. They'll let you do whatever you want. This show has so much. And one of my notes, I just wrote, "Quit drilling, you struck oil." This is fucking amazing. This has so much of everything I love. And I don't want to say all of those things because they're all talking points. But also, I just kept thinking too, the Poochie episode of The Simpsons. Like every 2 seconds, like a talking dog. It's like, this is fucking wild, and it's so good.
Yeah, this is I was not expecting this at all when I first thought
No,
of
me
it.
neither. And it mainly because of your description of the show made me think it was going to be way worse.
This is no spoiler alert too, but I love that maybe 25 different people do the same suicide as Hitler, where they just randomly put a German Luger in their mouth and blow their heads off, just over and over
That
again.
was
It happens the first
hands
time, and
down
you're
my
like,
favorite part of this. Yeah.
"Oh, okay." And by like the 17th one, you're just sort of weirdly desensitized to it.
Yeah, so I guess there's a lot of tropes that come throughout the series that, like, I guess don't get addressed at all in this. So
We'll talk about some of them as we get to them, because there's some
yes,
big ones coming up.
I also think that someday we should do a like S1E1 awards show, like best characters, best plot, best whatever. If we were going to go in the history of this show, is this episode 65?
66.
66. We have officially hit my favorite character in a TV show of all time. in this episode.
I think I know who it's going to be.
You're
And
probably
we'll talk about
right.
him in a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Joe, but the dead mother from Country Comfort already won that award.
Well, she gets honorable mention, you know, in the Grammys or whatever, and they show like artists we've lost this year. That's where she goes.
That's Mama's Grammy.
And for those of you who want to listen to that episode, go back. Country Comfort, one of our really early on ones, but a fun
A good
one.
one.
S1E1pod.com has all the links to where you can listen. Obviously, you know where to listen to us if you're hearing this right now, but it also has the links to our social media, etc. Also, real quick before we get into the episode, I just want to apologize to anyone if I sound like cucka today, because I very much have COVID, but the show must go on. So I'm doing my best to present forward for all of you guys. The show, again, a labor of love, so thank you for listening. But I do sound like doo-doo, so I'm sorry.
I'd also like to say, too, trigger warning if you have an issue with dogs, because I was bitten by a dog this week. Right after that, I had to watch this episode, and every 2 seconds I was like, I wish it was that dog instead.
Oh.
I hope like the full moon comes out and you turn into a were-dog.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Will I be Michael J. Fox?
No, because he wasn't a dog.
Oh, but I want to go back to high school.
What kind of a dog would you turn into, though, Joe?
He just becomes a poodle.
Yeah, with my breathing, probably a pug.
So if you guys had to pick a breed of dog that you would turn into, in
Don't
the
start
full
these
moon-
already. We have
Also,
so much to
that's not what I
uncover.
want to be. I'm just saying that's what I would turn into. I'd want to be one of those dogs with the whiskey barrel under his neck.
What are those, St. Bernards?
St. Bernards, yeah.
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 Let's get into the episode. There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to unpack, so we should get right into it. So the show just opens with a shot of a map with the title of the show and some music playing. I think right from that title screen, you get a good vibe for the style of show that we're about to hit. Again, I said it was made to look like old spy shows. I would assume, Joe, right from this point, you're probably already excited.
Sold. Yeah. Yeah, this is very Roger Moore. This is the Mod Squad. This is very 60s. It's very British, too, which, I mean, there's a lot of connection between British and Australian culture as far as humor and TV, right? And it seems very much in the realm of, like, the 60s sort of... I mean, this is, like, weird because it's the 60s, but it's the 40s. What I kept thinking about is a real quick tangent, but if you've ever seen The Dirty Dozen, which is one of the greatest World War II movies of all time, speaking, like, it fits in this, right? But if you have the DVD or Blu-ray or whatever, there's like a documentary that goes with it about all those actors because they filmed it in like 65 in England. So it's all these dudes killing Nazis and all of a sudden they're all wearing like, they're all dressed like Austin Powers being like, hey, you're just like, wait, what's happening here? And this TV show was basically the combination of the actual Dirty Dozen and the Dirty Dozen documentary. It was very weird, but that's what I kept thinking of.
And then right from there, we get to this establishing shot of like the Eiffel Tower, which is obviously models. They do this the whole time. They use very obvious like display pieces, like miniature models of monuments and streets for the exterior shots. Nothing exterior is ever filmed like in actual real life scale. And then we get to the inside from near the Eiffel Tower, I assume, is 3 French girls sitting around. They're like smoking and drinking wine while planning their attack on when the Nazi convoy is supposed to arrive, when all of a sudden like the room starts shaking. And then you cut back to the Eiffel Tower, and this is where you see the blimps appear, like,
The
and
blimps
they're
look so funny.
they're
The
so
Zeppelins,
fake.
yeah.
Yeah.
The claw machine claw.
It's just a claw machine claw. It's so fucking good.
Yeah. The claw like just comes down from one of the. Are they're Gordo? You said the Zeppelins. Are they technically blimps or are they separate things? I don't want to say the wrong thing.
No,
the whole time.
I mean, I think
They
that's
are
just
blimps
the
though,
German
right?
word
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, it's just a...
Yeah. I was gonna say I'm gonna say blimp a million times, so I apologize.
Oh,
if I'm
the
wrong.
humanity.
Yeah.
Which also makes me think of The Rocketeer, which I need to watch soon.
Great movie.
Yeah, Rocketeer rules and has some great Nazi blimp scenes.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
Oh shit, you need to watch
Oh,
The
that's a
Rocketeer.
must watch.
So-
Disney flick.
Just FYI, there is a difference between blimps and zeppelins.
Ooh, please let us know.
Oh,
Blimps don't have any internal structure to them. They're just basically a balloon that gets inflated, whereas a zeppelin has a metal frame on the inside, like I assume at one point they were made of lead, like Led Zeppelin.
Is that what the Hindenburg was?
No,
think
Led
the
Zeppelin's a
Hindenburg-
joke.
No, but but the Hindenburg I think was a zeppelin though.
I think it was, yeah.
Because I could have remembered seeing the
You can
bird.
see the
Yeah,
framework,
that's
yeah.
what's making me think that way.
Because that's when they were using hydrogen, which is why it got why the fire happened, because hydrogen's so flammable.
Yeah.
But Led Zeppelin's like a joke. They never used lead. Led Zeppelin means it wouldn't fly.
He used helium.
Oh, right.
now,
Yeah, that's right. That is what it's from.
That also means your band sucks.
I'm with you.
Thank you. Take
I don't
that,
really-
classic rock aficionados.
I honestly don't listen to them enough to.
I
tell
just
you
don't like
whether-
Led Zeppelin.
I just really like When the Levee Breaks. I think it's a great song.
Which
Yeah,
one?
they got a couple.
When the
of good
Levee
ones,
Breaks.
I mean, I love Jimmy Page's
it's a
soundtrack
hit.
to Death Wish 2.
And there was that song he did with Puff Daddy for the Godzilla movie.
Oh, fuck, that's so bad.
Oh my god! I forgot
Oh,
about
God, I
that.
forgot about that.
Come with me.
First of all, that song's great.
Just like the movie it's for.
It's the only time I've ever enjoyed Led Zeppelin was when Diddy took them over.
But yeah, let's to dial back. So yeah, the claw machine, like straight off from like an actual toy claw machine, comes down out of the Zeppelin and picks up the Eiffel Tower and just whisks it away. And you cut back to the women like that are in the room. Maybe they're watching from the window, and like they're watching in horror. And then one just instantly just shoots herself.
It's just so amazing.
It's so funny.
And
Also,
then-
trigger warning, this is a very suicide-heavy episode.
Yes, I think
That's
it's
the
very
actual
important to
trigger
be-
warning. I don't think,
Yeah.
I mean, like, Nazism and National Socialism is a trigger warning, but, like, Hitler's a jokey character dickhead. But suicide's, like, an actual issue.
For sure. And this is the first of many
Several.
times that's going to happen. So yeah, just be
If you
Be
need
aware.
to get help or anything like that, please do. Please go and reach out to somebody.
absolutely. Again, this is a very jokey show, but that's a very serious topic. So
I mean, we all have friends that's been a path they've taken, and it's, just reach out.
exactly. Dialing it back, it's sorry to have to transition this way, but yeah, immediately after that happened, this is when a couple of the Nazi soldiers enter the room and just shoot the other two girls that were there. And then
A dog.
the
starts-
dog, yeah, who's like,
It's a hard cut to the dog.
Yeah,
it's like clearly fake. It's not like, I don't know what it's made of. It's not, it kind of looks,
I was wondering how we were going to accurately describe this show, and it's proving to be as tough as I thought it was.
It's
because
hard.
It's like an acid trip.
because you
Yeah.
try to like, I go into so much detail to give someone a visual, right? So they can kind of watch along with us through me talking. And here, it's very hard to accurately describe what you're seeing at times.
It's like an animatronic of an old Disney ride dog.
It
Yes,
looks like a
that's perfect.
mix. It looks like a mix between animatronics and taxidermy.
yeah,
With a little bit of
like bad
puppeteering.
taxidermy.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little puppeteering. It looks like it would be like a Kurt Russell kids Disney movie from the 60s where the dog's neck would turn and be like,
Actually,
don't
what
feel
was-
bad, Billy.
what was the late night show with the talking dog?
Triumph?
Ronan?
Triumph. Yes, that's
It
kind of what it
definitely
reminds
does
me of.
not look like
No,
Triumph.
Triumph
No, it
is
does
like a-
not.
Triumph's a
Just a
puppet.
Puppet.
And
It
it looks
doesn't, but
good.
Triumph the Insult Comic Dog is the dog who wrote the joke, Sammy Hagar, you can't drive 55 because you're 65, which I think of like once a week because that is a perfect joke.
We've talked about this before. If you track all the things that Joe says are weekly occurrences for him, like his brain is an ongoing circus. Like to just think of the mess of things that are constantly cycling through his headspace.
His brain is equal to this show.
Yeah, it's a nightmare followed by like, I love you, have a good day at work, and then just garbage the rest of the time.
But yeah,
That's
so
to the cat.
so the dog, who speaks, starts saying in German, "Crush the enemies of the Führer, onwards to final victory." In I would assume German.
Yeah,
I didn't look that up, but it would be really funny if it was just a non-Germanic language or
right.
whatever.
Yeah, it just meant to sound German.
Yes, and then you get like a freeze frame on the dog as you can still hear it laughing, and that's when the title of the title of the episode pops up on the screen. And yeah, at this point I'm thinking, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
At this point, you should also be thinking too, because I took note of this. As soon as it's like, I Dance for Hitler comes up, it immediately hits the 1 minute mark of this episode. That is a lot to put into the first minute of the first episode of a TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then from there we get to the actual, like, so that's like the cold open, I guess, in a way, and then we get into the actual opening where it's the headquarters of the Danger Five. Again, they use these models. It looks like little toys to show you the establishing shots of each building. You see everyone kind of hanging out in the headquarters. One of them, who's Tucker, an Australian, he's playing chess with one of those. Is there a name from those?
Yeah, there
the
is.
gold cats.
They're like
The money
perpetual
cat.
motion.
The gold cats at Chinese restaurants that wave at you.
Yeah.
There is I Jesus, hold on. It's like a money cat or something.
But yeah, it's. I think anyone would know who I'm talking. When you go to a Chinese restaurant, it's always the gold cat figurines that have like the
Fortune
arm-
cat
fortune cat,
or Lucky
Yeah.
Cat Charm.
and the arm moves like back and forth. But he's playing chess with one of those, who, despite being an inanimate object, seemingly can talk and move pieces with like telekinesis.
This is the first time, and this happens through the entire episode too, where there's no boundary to what language anybody speaks. Everybody understands it, which is a really interesting.
It took me a
Trope.
Yeah,
long
true.
time to pick up on that with one of the other characters, and I'll bring that up. I want to bring up when I first realized it because it's way later, but you're absolutely correct. And then we see two of the others, Pierre, who's French, and Ilsa, who's Russian. They're sitting at like the bar, and Pierre's telling Ilsa the story of how he was taught how to make the perfect Cherry Mendez, I think was the first of the drinks. It's an ongoing runner with this in him that he's always like learning the perfect
Old-timey
version of a different
cocktails.
drink. Yeah.
Also, so we don't insult anyone, those are actually Japanese. Those cats.
That makes sense, but are they in Chinese restaurants?
They
Do
are in
just,
Chinese food
they
restaurants.
just do
You're
it
not
for
wrong
Japanese.
about that.
because they
But,
do
yeah,
it for us Americans, right? They just like they know that we don't know better, so they're like, whatever.
They're called Maneki Neko, and they're also, which translates to lucky cat or fortune cat.
Oh, okay, that
It's
makes
a
sense.
Japanese thing that brings good luck.
It's funny because you say like not to offend anyone, and if you didn't pronounce that right, you could have easily said something super offensive without us knowing. It's like you thought you said lucky cat, but in reality. And then we also see Pierre's kind of going around and checking with everyone else, and that's how we kind of learn about the other two and seeing how their drinks are. But when Tucker tells him that his drink is just satisfactory, he kind of does like a
Like
Jedi mind trick, yeah, on it.
Yeah.
They're all dressed sort of like Star Trek characters here.
Yeah, and the drink kind of bubbles up, and he takes another sip, and apparently it's better now. But we never. So many things happen and are never addressed again.
Yeah, they just don't address it, don't explain it. They just move
He has
on.
some sort of a superpower, I guess. That doesn't get touched on at all after that.
Super mixology powers.
It'd be like John Taffer's like dream man.
butt funnel.
And then Pierre's like still going around the horn, and then we meet Jackson, who's an American, and he's just sitting there reading a magazine called Man's Gun.
Man's guns.
Lastly, we meet Claire. She's from the UK. She doesn't want to drink because it's 9 a.m, which is very fair, I think, to not want to drink at 9 a.m., but everyone else is having at it.
They're
I
having
mean, that's
sugary cocktails at 9 a.m. too. That is,
Hangover City.
yeah, that's Hangover City. Your combination for having a tough afternoon.
And then the headquarters themselves, are there anything like, how would you best describe that to everybody?
I don't know, like a 60s
Like Austin
den.
Powers' pad.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say it's like Dr. Evil's.
It also, it's kind of, I
lair.
could see like
60s
Charlie's
spy
Angels
chic.
hanging out there. Yeah, it's all in that realm.
It kind of looks like when in The Simpsons they go to Troy McClure's house. That's actually the giant aquarium house. If anybody remembers that.
I don't.
Simpsons did it.
Yeah, Simpsons did it as always. Gordo, I know you know.
Yes. Yeah, it kind of does. Like I said, it just looks very, very 60s.
And do you remember how Jackson gets Claire to chill out after saying she doesn't want to drink?
Yes, he shoots a gun at her that he loads a cigarette in, which flows in her mouth. And yeah,
Yeah, just a lit cigarette.
a lit cigarette. He shoots it, loads it into a gun, and shoots it, and it lands perfectly in her mouth.
For the love of God, make this gun. I want one so badly.
For the love of God, remake this show.
I think that the 5 of us should do it.
Okay, but you
Remake
gotta
it?
be the blonde chick.
Oh, I thought I was going to be...
No, you're gonna be Elsa.
What do you
The
want,
character
Hitler
I want to
instead?
be, you'll know who it is.
I think we're gonna
Colonel-
actually. I think we're gonna mention this character right now because
Yep.
this is when the Colonel goes on to tell them both that the Eiffel Tower has gone missing, and that there's more monuments that are being like triggered. This is go ahead, describe the Colonel. Joe, am I correct? Is this the character you mean?
It is exactly the character you mean. He is a human being who, for no reason, has Sam the Eagle from the Muppets head. He's like an American bald eagle head. And
Hold on, to correct you a little bit, because to give someone a visual, it's not like he doesn't look like Sam the Eagle.
No, he looks like a real
Looks like
eagle.
a bald eagle.
Yeah, it's like a mascot eagle head, like if you bought like a deluxe eagle costume from like Spirit Halloween.
Like those rubber mask ones that they sell. Like there's like a pigeon one and a dog one.
No, it has like feathers and stuff too.
It has feathers,
But
yeah.
it's like a mascot. It's like a legit mascot.
But he's got human arms, human hands. He speaks in a British accent, and then when he takes a sip of his drink, he goes, "Wugga, wugga, 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 wugga." And I literally almost had a fucking heart attack. I was telling Gerdo earlier, it's the second time ever in recording episodes taking notes where I paused it and left the room. Where I was laughing so hard I couldn't get back to the show because that scene fucking destroyed me. And it was so stupid.
I could not stop laughing at that as well.
Also-
I literally stopped.
I don't know if is this guy's voice Matt Berry?
No.
All right.
I looked up
good.
everybody in this show, and nobody really tracks from much.
He,
weird
Okay,
he
'cause
things.
wasn't
it
prominent yet.
It sounded just like him. 2012. Yeah, I mean, he had done.
He was
I
doing
Was
some
in
stuff,
Crowd, he had
but-
done-
I also do like that he's telling them that like a world without monuments is basically a world that's not worth living in. That's like the whole premise of why this has to be stopped.
I mean, you lose your monument, you kill yourself and go to the show.
Yeah, that's when you just kill yourself. The suicide shit is so weird in this. This is also where he tells him, and the girl says something. He goes, "Shut up, girl."
Yeah.
It's like the Dwight Schrudest line of the entire episode.
Even though he's an eagle, he reminds me of the character from Team America who's like, "Come on, Gary, now suck my cock."
I mean, he basically plays the
best part
same
of that, though, is he goes,
role, right?
And go.
Yeah. And then that scene closed with him telling the Danger 5 team their mission, which is find out what the hell the Nazis want with the tower, where they're taking it, and how to get it back. And of course, as always, kill Hitler, which I believe is the ultimate mission every episode,
Yep.
from what I understand.
Yeah,
Not to
That's
go
what we
ahead,
get.
but
Yeah, but I gather from looking it up. Kill Hitler. It's kind of sad that I'm kind of always bummed out that Hitler killed himself and like nobody got like a good kill Hitler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like Hitler robbed the world of like a good, painful fuck you Hitler death. That's kind of a bummer.
Unless he faked it. He's alive
There's
somewhere
actually-
with a robot
yeah, there's
body.
there's a lot of
Then-
speculation.
speculation about
Yeah.
whether or not he actually died. Like, I don't know why. I just actually seen something about this recently. Now, this is just some guy Joe Rogan had on his podcast, so take this for what it's worth.
A lot
The
of
most
salt there.
extreme grains of salt.
Yeah.
Russia was actually the one who found his body, Hitler's body, right? Turns out, like, 50 years later, they did a test on the skull that they had that was supposedly Hitler's body, and it was a 35-year-old female. There was also a shitload of money spent by the CIA and FBI on looking for Hitler after he had died. Like,
like,
millions of
Argentina.
dollars were spent in search of Hitler after everybody was told he was dead already. So there might have been some insider information, and some of these people may have actually had seen him in South America. So who knows,
Oh,
really?
nothing to see here.
He was probably dead.
He's got a Grateful
but
Dead shirt on for some reason.
he's actually really acting in this show right now.
Well, they didn't find Hitler. Did they find his harmonica?
Can't play
Yeah,
Hitler's
but not what you
harmonica.
thought it was.
Hitler's harmonica.
The show's not an episode if we don't get a John Lovitz reference in.
And then from there we get to the next scene where the team finds themselves in a restaurant in Paris where everybody's incredibly depressed. Basically over the loss of the Eiffel Tower. And then they go to the bar where Pierre orders everyone their drinks, and the bartender just looks up at them and says, "There is only winter, eternal winter," and then shoots himself.
And then just... And again, I want to make it note, everybody shoots themselves the exact same way with a German Luger in their mouth. Like Hitler
Yeah.
is supposed to have done it.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. Very bizarre.
It's a weird joke to continually just keep doing, but I love it.
And then
It's a weird show.
it isn't established by now that it's a weird show. I don't know what else to say, but yes, it's a very weird show.
The thing is, I love it. It's like super random. I don't know the longevity, how long this could go on before I got sick of it. That's just me.
Yeah,
I know it's a
agreed.
little early to be saying that, but like,
It's kind of like reminiscent. I mean, Ferg, you brought up Team America, but even like the like Adult Swim short shows like Robot Chicken, the ones that like you can't do a half
Aqua
hour
Teen.
of them. Aqua Teen. Well,
that
no,
was
those
their
were
big
half-hour
mistake.
shows.
They went to a half hour and ruined it.
That's right. Yeah. And I think in spurts, yes, it's good, but I totally agree with the fact that longevity's sake, I don't think this would hold up.
Yeah, well, I'll let you guys know at the end because I did some. I'm sure you guys read like the wikis and stuff, and the episode titles.
Well, I think the thing about it is, with being silly, you kind of have to have an intriguing story to follow to kind of get through the silly. Where this doesn't really have that plot. Like obviously it has like the kill Hitler plot, but it's never going to have like this overarching story, even episode to episode. So it's going to be tough to just get through all the zany shit a half hour at a time. It would be silly.
I am with you. I think 15 minutes would have been maybe a little easier.
No, I think the half hour is fine just for this one episode. I'm saying over
agree.
the course
Yeah,
of
for
a
sure.
series, like I think this would have worked better as a movie. I can't see this going on as like a long show.
I don't want to say Letterkenny because I do really love the show, but sometimes I think the best part of Letterkenny is the first 5 minutes where they're doing their little intro. Whether it's like a talking back and forth or like they're throwing the ball around and saying things. And sometimes I'm like, that could stand alone as its own thing. I feel like this is the type of show where like it could be also, I love this episode, but like they could also just do like a 10-minute thing every week and you'd probably be able to like digest it as bite-sized chunks instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally see that. I mean, I guess that it went on for 2 seasons. So
And if I'm not if I try not to look up too much, right? Because I don't want to ruin anything. But I think the next season is later in history, but still after Hitler.
So then a man walks into the bar named Rene, and he recognizes Pierre, and he calls him Marcel.
Yeah,
Right.
and at that point, you could see like the rest of the team looking at each other and going like, "Wait, Marcel?"
Yeah. It's like I said, he gets. I get the sillies, but he also gets called different names that is never addressed.
Well, I think it's more of the spy stuff, right? Like in different missions, in different groups, he was one person and now he's somebody else.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense.
Yeah, and this is when like Pierre or Marcel is telling Renee to like, yes, our objective is to help you guys with the Eiffel Tower, which that's when we find out that like basically every patron of the bar is part of Renee's battalion, and it's just all girls. But as soon as he announces to them like, hey, this is the great Pierre or Marcel, whatever his name was, they're, he's here to help. And then they just flock to him immediately.
Yeah, they're all resistance fighters.
Yeah, so a big chunk of this show is the French resistance.
Correct. And they all start fawning over Marcel
/ Pierre.
/ Yeah,
But the only girl that doesn't get up and he spots immediately is apparently his ex-girlfriend, Celeste, or at least an ex-fling.
And Celeste thinks he was killed.
Yeah, she spent the last 2 years thinking he was dead.
That's a tough life in the spy. It never works out for James Bond either.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really give up your secrets, right? Like you have to, like if you die, you die. You got to slip away. But she, yeah.
Yeah, and when Pierre and Celeste are sitting at the table together too, they're having like they have a really quick dialogue, and it's like, I thought you were dead. I'm not. And she just slaps him in the face, says, don't ever leave me again. He goes, I burn for you. And they just start making out. And it was like the most Gomez and Morticia scene ever.
It definitely was. Mon ami.
And for those of you want to hear us talk about the Addams Family, you can go back into the archives. We covered that one, this past Halloween time.
Good TV show, better movies.
Agreed. But that's the era we grew up in.
It's been a while.
Well, if you do like the movies, that's what we mainly talk about on that episode
Yeah,
of
I
the
was gonna
show.
say.
Yeah.
The 25-minute episode about the TV show turns into a 2-hour episode about how good the first 2 Addams Family movies are.
Mostly the second one. We talked about that one a
Addams
lot. But
Family Values.
But
Second one is the winner.
we talked about those movies enough in the Addams Family episode, so let's not leak too much into this one. We then cut to Renee, who's telling the rest of the team about like how he suspects that someone in his group, one of these girls, is an insider and is leaking information to the Nazis. And no sooner does he say that, we get an immediate rush of a bunch of Nazis that storm the restaurant.
There's a lot of Nazis kicking down doors in this episode.
There is a lot of that.
And the dog comes back with them.
Yeah, well, and we find out that basically the orders are to detain all the women and kill all the men. That's why they're there.
Yeah, so they start carting out. They hold up all the Danger Five, and now Renee, and then they cart all the women out. At this point.
2 of the Danger 5 are women, so they're
the one
they're
Danger
part
5
of
women
that.
Yeah.
get sent out too.
I'm sorry, the men of Danger 5, and they separate the men and the women of Danger 5.
Yeah,
And the blonde girl tries to send a mental note to which he responds with, "What?"
Yeah, she winks at him.
She winks,
And-
yeah. I
and
love
there's a
the
whole
wink.
there's a whole caption that goes with her wink of everything that the wink meant. And then he just winks back with what?
I forgot about that one.
Which is exactly what I would do.
And then once when the women are all sent off, now it's just like the few, because the only men that were in the restaurant were Renee and the guys from Danger 5. So there's just 4 men sitting in there. And they ask the Nazis, like, well, before you kill us, can we just have one last drink? And they say no. I'm like, well, if you let us have one last drink, we'll give you the combination to the safe over here, which is filled with gold, frankincense, and myrrh. A combination that I have not heard since the birth of Jesus.
I love that this is what's brought up, and they're like, "Ooh!" And what did they say? Was the frankincense good, or was the myrrh good?
Oh, I forgot which
I
one.
think they mentioned the myrrh because I laughed because it's very rare when you take notes and you're like, well, I don't know how to spell that word. Like I didn't know how to spell myrrh and had a good moment where I was like, Murray, whatever. I know what it means.
I try to write notes that I know I'll be able to read back. I think that's the more important part because I'm not submitting these to anybody. But it's funny because even then I didn't do it. We've heard that term gold, frankincense, myrrh since the Bible. I still don't know what frankincense and myrrh are. I've never thought to look it up in all these years what that's supposed to be.
Frankincense is an herb, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought that they're like incense.
Gordo,
Yeah.
I'd say you're the one with the religious tattoos on you. What's going on here?
Frankincense and myrrh.
They're both
Or a comedy
resins
duo from the
extracted
1940s
from
who were
trees.
surprised
Yeah,
by
I was
Abbott and
gonna say,
Costello.
If frankincense and myrrh, like they're like herbs.
No, they're resins.
Isn't that the shit that like when the priest has that like dangly ball that like shakes around?
Yes.
Oh, hold on. I don't. Whatever your experiences were in church are not necessarily that of the rest of us.
Oh, that golden thing when they sing talk.
We know what you're talking about, but
Oh, good job,
Oh, no,
Fred.
I've
You
killed
killed
him.
Gordo.
He's broken.
Let me get my Luger.
Oh God.
I'm sorry.
I do like that when they offer this, there's the quick cutscene of them all just enjoying a drink and partying.
Oh, it's like a Budweiser commercial.
Magically, there's a couple girls are back in the room again with them, and then it cuts immediately back to as if nobody had ever moved a step. Like, when time goes forward, they somehow ended up in the exact same positions.
It's like the early 90s joke of the soda commercials where it's like 4 old guys on a bench and all of a sudden they're like at a strip club or whatever, you know? It was like there's like a Nazi playing piano and he's dancing and kicking his feet. Just like a completely different wild scene.
I'm sorry, what commercial is that with old guys suddenly at a strip club?
Bum, bum,
Yeah.
bum, 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 bum,
It's for,
bum, bum,
it was-
bum,
Oh,
bum.
so they go to Six Flags.
Yeah, it was
It's
for
a
Dr.
different Six
Pepper.
Flags.
What I also found
Sex
funny
Flags.
about that scene, though, is like, when you go back to it, like this whole request for one last drink was not part of a plan to escape because they enjoyed the drink and then just go back to where they were. Like, it was just a means to get one more drink in general.
Oh, it's to set up the safe gag so when they open it, he could be in there and shoot him.
Was that
Right.
what?
To pull the Gordo
Yeah.
card, gun to your head, you can have one last drink. What's your last drink?
Are you asking me?
Everybody. I'm calling it the Gordo card because you always ask us these scenarios.
I'll have to get back to you. Hold on.
All right, I'll
Does
go
it
first.
have to be an alcoholic drink?
No, not at all.
I'm probably gonna have a Moxie if I'm gonna be completely honest.
That's your last fucking drink?
What am I gonna have?
You deserve the shot. You're the worst.
It's like a nostalgic drink to me, like from childhood and stuff. So like I would probably have one last Moxie.
Give me a shot of whiskey at that point. If I'm gonna be honest, just give me a shot of whiskey.
That's quick, though. You don't want to try to enjoy the beverage a little longer?
I want the blood of my enemy.
What's yours, Joe?
I'd probably do Maker's Mark and soda water.
You judge his moxie,
And that's like,
your
and that's
last drink?
something. Is that something you genuinely go? This is good.
That's like my favorite mixed drink, yeah.
I
Yeah.
want a nice frap.
It's refreshing, but boozy also. But it's not a... I love the... I would do a shot too, Gordo. I get that for sure. But I'm also trying to prolong this for a minute.
What's your ratio?
Joe's ratio?
One bubble.
It's got a thimble.
It's like when you see the videos on like Barstool of girls making mimosas where they get the eyedropper and put just like one drop of orange juice in a glass of champagne.
I mean, I'm usually 50-50. But I also use those giant glasses that I steal from the tavern in the square that hold like, I don't know, probably 32 ounces or whatever.
Doing 16 ounces of whiskey.
Look, if it's been a tough day at work, it's been a tough day at work.
Nick, what's yours?
My last drink? Oh God, I don't know. I really don't know. I couldn't even tell you. I don't have any drinks that I'm like, yes, I need. Like, I've never been trying to think of something. Yeah, I don't know. I'll get back to you on that.
If it was
I
an
don't really
alcoholic drink, I'd probably just have like a good like New England IPA. That's like my go-to.
I mean, I guess non-alcoholic, I would want just like a really good cup of coffee.
Yeah, if it was non-alcoholic, then yeah, I'd want like a coffee. But I thought you were talking about drink. Since
No,
we're in
any
a
kind
bar
of drink.
setting.
But I mean,
Well,
I guess
I
if you want to
started with
go
a soda.
non-alcoholic versus alcoholic.
Well, I mean,
but,
does
like,
it have to be? Does this count? Like, I would love like a strawberry milkshake.
Sure, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
drink.
That's
Let's
what I
drink.
said. Mine would be a chocolate frap.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And if it was going to be alcoholic, Ferg would have his coveted glass of vodka with some Mio squirt into it.
Hey, at least I'd black out for my death.
Yeah, the upside is you wouldn't know what happened.
No, you're supposed to die, but once again, you woke up in your bathtub for some reason.
Like, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the trouble.
I've woken up in my bathtub so many times.
Those Mio squirts. But Ferg, you did
That's
touch
usually not
on
the
it.
bathtub when he has those.
No. Ferg, you touched on it a little bit. Yeah, the ultimately, after this all happens, they give the combination to the safe. Then there's like a slow, suspenseful buildup. And you're wondering, like, what's in the safe. They open it up, and there's Pierre, and just shoots the one in the head. The one of many, though. So, like, in theory, every time these things happen, as soon as he shoots one, you think the other guys would have been ready with immediate gunfire, but
Yeah,
they always just, like, stand there and wait to be killed as well.
yeah. It doesn't make sense that they wouldn't just like immediately go boop. Okay, well that was that. We lost, one, but
I'm drawing a blank now. How did they take out the other two?
They just shoot at them,
They
like,
shoot
right
at
after. Yeah.
All right.
So then after that fight, there's a moment where Pierre and Renee are kind of reminiscing about the last time that they were able to pull that move off together with the whole safe thing. And as they're talking, boom, one of the Nazis who is on the ground shoots and effectively is about to kill Renee. He's not dead yet, but he's on the ground. Pierre rushes up to him and with his final breath gives him the recipe for the perfect fruit Madrid.
I feel like we need to like have a party where we try all these drinks because there's a lot. I've never had any of these weird old timey
They're
cocktails.
so sugary. All of them
I
are
would
so
know I'll
sugary.
hate every one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like my normal. I didn't bring it up when we were talking about what drink we'd have, but it's a gin and tonic. If I'm
It's
not
like-
dring like a beer,
Yeah, I
The
can't have
worst
something too sweet.
hangover ever is after you go and drink at like a Chinese food restaurant.
Oh god, yeah, my
Where it's
Oh,
ties.
just
yeah.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
Mai Tais and scorpion bowls and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's the fucking worst.
I used to
Every-
do strawberry daiquiri night. I used to go out and get like daiquiris.
And you know what
the next
those-
day, fucking worst hangover ever.
Yeah, that sounds
In
like
my
a bad
mind,
hangover.
you're alone doing this too.
Sometimes.
Yeah, who was your daiquiri
big
buddy?
daiquiri.
Just looking in the mirror, Gordo, you deserve this.
I
Just like a messy blender on the counter.
had a whole bunch of daiquiri buddies. But yes.
Oh,
sometimes
none of
I
us
would
were
do
in
that.
daiquiri chat. That's why we didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I was never invited to daiquiri night.
Yeah, no, you guys weren't in DAC chat.
Yeah, those restaurants from like the Chinese. I'm sorry, those drinks from the Chinese restaurants, like the fog cutters and mai tais. It's not even just the alcohol, but like it's a combo. They're using alcohol with garbage grade fruit juice as well. So
Yeah,
it's not
so
even.
much
It's,
sugar.
And then
Yeah.
some of them like indiscriminately throw 151 in there, and
Yep.
it's like, why?
Yeah.
Why is this in
It's
anything?
like, oh, and
but a
also we lit it
fucking
on
lamp?
fire for you. Have fun with
Yeah.
that, drunkie. It's like, well, I did not need to be a firefighter tonight,
Yeah.
too. This is not in the cards.
in the following scene, now we get to all the women who are now at like the Nazi headquarters or whatever, and they're being tortured. And like, there's one woman who's just laying on a table. She's like tied down, and they're branding her chest with a swastika.
It's like
And
Nexium.
And I'll say, like, for me, I talked earlier, like, it's a little weird that Hitler's like the character, and obviously there's going to be all this Nazi symbolism. To see like the swastika like branded on someone was very odd for me at that moment. That was a little much for me at that time, if we're being honest.
Well, I originally had in my notes that they had the original symbol, not the actual swastika. It wasn't turned. And then I noticed all their armbands do have the actual swastika. So I'm like, oh, just the one that's in the background is what is it, like the Buddhist symbol for peace? The original.
Yeah, it's like felt the other way. I remember we
One-
played with a band once from Greece, and one of the dudes had a tattoo of the Buddhist swastika.
Can't
People
take
were
it back.
People
You
were
just
giving him
can't-
shit for it, and he was like, "I don't get it." And I was like, "This is. I'm sorry. This is
How
like,
do you-
can't.
Where
this is not
have you
good.
been,
You can't have
dude?
this." Has anybody here ever seen any of the Ilsa She-Wolf of the SS movies?
clips.
heard
I've
of
never
them.
seen the full movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them, like Ilsa the Wicked Warden, Tigress of Siberia. They're all amazing, but this scene is very much, I think, a remnant. Like they're trying to call out to the first Ilsa She-Wolf of the SS movie, which is basically a sexy Nazi wardeness tortures and kills people if they don't sexually satisfy her. And this whole scene is kind of like a bunch of scenes in that movie.
Well, yeah, right behind the girl who's being like branded is the two girls from Danger 5 they're like bound with their hands tied up over their heads and their shirts are unbuttoned. So they're in bras still. They're not, completely topless, but they're sitting there like just hands above their heads with their shirts open. And this is when we meet Hitler for the first time.
Just real quick, though, before you say that, I love that there's so much to chew up in the scenery behind this. There's one Nazi guy who's wearing a tank top, but he still has the swastika armband on, which means he had to take it off and wrap it around his bare arm somehow, which I thought was just like such a weird, interesting touch.
I want to say there was another one in the background as well. I thought I saw two in tank tops, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, so Hitler walks in and he's with his assistant. What do we say his name is? Goebbels.
Goebbels.
And so what was his actual position, by the way, like in real life?
Minister of Propaganda.
Okay. But was he essentially like his right-hand man?
He was very
Yes.
high up, yeah.
So with Hitler is Goebbels, his assistant, and he's showing him all these recently detained girls that they have. Hitler instantly takes a liking to Claire, one of the Danger 5 girls, the blonde UK girl. And you can see immediately that it bothers Ilsa, like she's kind of jealous. And I'm very proud to say this. I totally disagree with Hitler. Ilsa, I think, was the way to go.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I'm glad I'm also
Well,
not in the
okay.
Hitler
Just
train.
gonna say, you know why he picked her, though, right?
Blonde hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's an Aryan woman. Yeah.
Right.
And unlike Hitler, I skew towards brunettes. The actor playing Hitler, like, how would you say visually, does he I wouldn't say he's like the most accurate portrayal of
Close
Hitler.
enough. I mean,
No,
Usually it's
Comedic-
like you
he's
give him
a
the haircut and the
comedic- I hate
mustache.
saying comedic Hitler, but he's like a comedic take on Hitler, right? Like it's really easy, especially in like British sitcoms have done this forever, right? I know this is Australian, I'm just saying in general British sitcoms, where it's like, find somebody funny, doesn't matter what their height, their weight, their build, whatever is, push their hair over, a mustache on, make them funny. That's like the Hitler trope, you know?
And does Hitler wear leather jackets?
Yeah. The brown leather jacket was one of his gear.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd also like to preface, Gordon and I both have talked about this. We have watched a lot of World War II documentaries in our life, so it's not a fanboy thing. This is just like a way too
I don't
much
think it
time.
came off that way.
History
Well, I would hope
Channel.
it doesn't. But
No, I hope not either. No, I'm just very, very interested.
Yeah, it's just super interesting.
Peel back, my father fought in World War II. So I've
Right.
always just had a fascination with it. Like I have his battle map that I guess the army gave it to him as like a consolation prize or whatever. Like he, I don't know, like they give it like as a commemoration or whatever. But it's like the Army Corps of Engineers in there march through Europe. And it's like hanging up. It's actually really, really cool. But it's got like these like cartoon drawings where like battles were. I'll take a picture of it and send it to you guys. It's kind
Yeah,
of
for
cool.
sure. I want to see it.
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's not fanboying at all. It's just I just find that interesting. Like it's just
Yeah. Also,
interesting
this week,
documentaries, interesting, especially like I don't know about Joe, but I am also a big fan of like the Nazi occult like connection that they would
Oh,
like.
yeah, Hitler sex.
Like,
all that
like
stuff.
Hellboy? The whole
Yes.
thing's
Hellboy
about-
is technically
like
part
Hellboy.
of that. That's canon. There's a great documentary that came out on Netflix this week called Pearl Harbor Minute by Minute, also for World War II buffs.
Ooh.
That's really fun. I've been watching it in bed. You know, because I have great dreams when I go to sleep.
I don't know if I would describe that as fun, but
Yeah.
you
It's a
know,
whole lot of fun.
It's fun getting into trouble.
I do want to mention here that did we mention that Ilsa only speaks Russian? We talked about language barriers
No.
earlier, but I don't think we ever really mentioned that she exclusively talks in
is
Russian.
this where you realize that she only exclusively speaks in Russian,
No, I always realized it was the whole
or that the
Joe
other
saying
people
that they-
understand
no,
her?
and no, still later on
Really?
when that clicked with me. Yeah.
Funny. Yeah, I picked it up pretty quickly, but I do love it that everybody speaks different languages and everybody just understands it.
I didn't notice.
And then, anyways, to go back, as they're admiring Claire, they say that she's going to be perfect for the dance performance for Hitler's birthday celebration, and additionally would be nice for some one-on-one time with Hitler after the performance.
He calls her very tasty.
And then next we get to the three men from the group who are all trying to sneak into the building to save all these girls. And you can see them like hiding kind of behind a bush. And they spot one of the guards at a fence with a guard dog, another talking dog. And when Tucker throws a knife to kill the guard, the dog gets excited and starts talking. And he's yelling to see, who it was. So to silence the dog, Jackson then grabs a robot version of the dog that looks basically identical, and it has like a female voice and asks, how do you want me programmed? Like what mode? He's like, activate sexy bitch mode. And
I love this so much.
so they have the female dog go up to the the fake dog walk up to the real dog. Again, they look identical. The two of them look like they made two of the same
They're
dog.
German shepherds.
Yeah.
They should
Yeah,
have just
yeah.
put a bow on the girl one.
That would have been
Mrs.
good.
Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Mrs. Pac-Man. I'm sorry, they did not get married. Miss Pac-Man. Don't want to give too much class here.
But so the fake dog walks up holding a cigarette and asks for a light. And then the guard dog gets all excited and is looking for a lighter. And as he's fidgeting, gas just starts shooting out of the mouth of the robot dog, killing the other guard dog.
Sexy bitch mode activated.
I thought that is this where he said, "Oh, it's Hitler's dog."
He thought the girl dog was Hitler's dog. Yeah.
This
I was
is
confused
also
by
a
that
trope
at
the
first.
entire episode. People keep thinking, humans and other animals keep thinking that every German shepherd is Hitler's dog.
Yes.
I just love the idea of a dog smoking a cigarette.
That's very Triumph, the comic insult dog.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. It's funny. The dogs. I do enjoy how they all think that it's Hitler's dog.
That's the thing is, every scene in this show is like 10 jokes at once, and then I have to focus on one thing. Like the main thing of that is I laughed at a dog smoking a cigarette, and like none of the other jokes had time to sink into my head.
It's a lot
Until
going
we're
on.
hearing
at
them
once.
again now, and then I'm reliving them and laughing again. It's
I feel
like-
like this show is one of those shows where like a lot of times I'll like tell people about it, especially for the episodes, but like you should check this show out. I think it's interesting or whatever. I was explaining it to Kelsey and was like, never mind, we're just gonna watch it. Like this is like, how do you explain this show without just being like, you know what, this is insane? And I'm sure when we rewatch it together, I'll find like 5 jokes I missed too, because you're just there's so much going on.
And I didn't touch on it earlier. I can't remember. Other than, where do you go to watch this show?
It's Amazon has it with ads, I think.
Yeah, I know it used to be on Netflix and they just pulled it. And I know that they also have a audio podcast too of like rate stereo adventures of Danger 5. That's like newer after the season, but I don't know where you would even begin to stream it. It's
I
not
will
even like
say
a
too-
BBC thing either. Like you can't
It might
even
be,
get it.
is it not on SBC? I'm not sure. But I will say, if it's available to watch with ads on something, you can also probably buy it from Amazon or those places or iTunes. Then I
I-
always suggest, if you like a show, to buy it.
I think that you can also watch it on IMDb TV too.
Oh, with ads too, yeah.
I
Yeah.
would suggest that. They had a ton of ads when we watched it with another show.
Yeah, I will always buy something before watching it with ads because it's just a nightmare.
No, I'm full ads. I'm cheap.
I pay for a lot of things. It gets tough to keep adding to how many things I'm paying for just to watch television.
Well, it's a one-time
But-
purchase. I mean, you buy the season
Oh,
for $10.
Good news, you can watch it on Tubi.
Oh, it's on Tubi.
The hell is Tubi?
Also,
It is
Pluto
a
TV, Crackle. All the free ones have it.
Yeah, Tubi is like a Roku or whatever channel that has everything you'd ever want to see on it, and they put in triple the amount of commercials that any regular TV station would, so that you lose your mind and buy it anyway. It's
Yeah.
basically just a weird coup to make you purchase the thing you want to see. Oh, and also the commercials they play are usually the same commercial, and they play it 3 times in a row, and it's almost always just Frank Thomas talking about his cock working
Eugenics.
better because he takes so much fucking testosterone now. And you lose your goddamn mind.
I mean, how many times can you really? I mean, I could listen to Frank Thomas talk about
Nope.
Viagra.
No, you can't. You say it, but you can't. It's also always some wormy little white guy too being like, you look like you could still hit a huge home run. He's like, thanks, little boy. I'm going to fuck your wife later. Like, okay, thanks, Frank Thomas. Can we do any other commercial?
I was gonna say, every time I've seen one of those commercials, it's usually 2 women who normally would have no fucking clue who Frank Thomas is.
Right, yeah.
You're like, oh
not
my god, are
huge
you
baseball
Frank
fans.
Thomas? Like the guy who used to play baseball 20 years ago?
20 years ago,
Why,
yeah.
yes, I am.
Aren't you
Hey,
Babe
call me
Ruth?
the Big
Fuck
Hurt.
off, toots. Like, oh yeah, you are Babe Ruth.
Winding it back, so Ilsa manages to set herself free. And Claire's like, okay, help me get out now. And you can see like the animosity still, that Ilsa's still jealous about the whole Hitler preferring Claire thing. So she's like,
She's
no,
Hitler's
you,
harmonica.
you stay here for when Hitler comes back. I'm going to go try to, do some investigating. So now we get to Ilsa like walking around, and she's in another room now. Shirt's still open, by the way. And finds this like little mini bar and starts to make herself a drink. And she's still like, she's talking to herself as she's doing so, because she's still so mad about Hitler wanting to be with Claire.
I don't think it's a love for Hitler, though. I
Oh,
think
no.
She's just mad that somebody
Yeah, she's
wanted
just
the
jealous.
She
other
wants
girl.
she
It's
wants
just
to
like
be
a-
it's
just
it's
a fighting between 2 people thing.
she wants to be the hotter of the 2, or the more sought after, I guess. And again, if I was the one in charge of torturing all of them, I would have preferred Ilsa. So, don't be
Right.
upset.
I was thinking this is like all accidental, but this is the ideal situation for spies. Like you'd think they'd want them kidnapped and infiltrate to like be able.
Oh yeah,
to...
we're bringing you into our lair.
Yeah, we've all seen a lot of spy movies. This is like one less step they actually had to do.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
actually getting brought to Hitler.
Yeah, like this is part of the plan that normally would have taken like 2 months to figure out. It's like, how do we get inside the lair?
And that's how we can do this in a 30-minute episode instead of a 2-hour movie.
Well, there it is.
Cut that whole middle part out. So, in the room, she makes her drink and she starts like roaming around, and she finds the map that has all like the pins in it pointing to where all the major monuments are in the world. And next to it is a blueprint of the ultimate plan, which is to assemble a giant statue of Hitler made out of the monuments from around the world.
It's like a what was it?
Hitler
Zordan?
transformer.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
it's a Hitler
it's like
transformer.
it's like
What was this
Megatron,
thing?
not
Megazord.
Megatron, Megazord.
Megazord.
Yeah,
Megazord.
it's
Oh,
like
Voltron.
like a Hitler Megazord.
Yeah, like it had like
You need that flute and everything.
the Leaning Tower and the Eiffel Tower were the legs, like the Statue of Liberty for the arm.
Yeah,
Doing-
the Statue of Liberty was like
The arm
doing like a
Sig-heiling.
Sig Heil.
Yeah,
and,
And
the
then-
His head
Taj
is the
Mahal.
Sphinx, but the Sphinx they have carved in a Hitler stash.
yes. And I think the Colosseum and some other stuff are
Yeah, the
making up the
Colosseum is
body.
there, a few others, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the Taj Mahal was the stomach.
There was a shitload of things.
There was a
marked.
few
I don't
things.
Think they
There was
showed
a few. I
everything.
think the Taj
Yeah.
Mahal was in there too, yeah.
And then when she finds the blueprints,
The
she
Taj
goes
Mahal.
to take.
I had to have one. That was better than
I didn't even
calling
hear
him the Optimus Primal Solution, which is the other one.
Well, you still got it out.
Oh, it's better than this other terrible joke I got. Of all the corny things that happen, despite having a boss who has a bird head, the one thing that made me go, "Oh, come on," was she goes to take pictures and she just uses a viewfinder to take the photos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when my brain goes, "Hey, come on now."
It's just like a painted brown viewfinder, and she's so great.
It doesn't have the little picture wheel in it though.
There's no picture wheel.
Although it does
It
come
did
into
have
play
it in it,
later.
actually.
And honestly, if they
Did
made viewfinders that took photos, because she then, to not go too far ahead, uses that viewfinder later to show the photos,
That's true.
viewfinder should be watching this and going, "This is the viewfinder of the future. They should have been making
Well,
these
Jay, they
instantly."
do have viewfinders that take photos. They're called cameras.
fun kid versions.
My viewfinder makes phone calls too.
Yeah, but
Nobody answers.
can you not use them when it's dark?
You gotta look up at the lights.
I was gonna say Gordo's looking perplexed, which means he didn't own a viewfinder.
No, I did, and I thought that they had a backlight in them.
No.
I've got
No,
one.
they
in
were
the
just
room
little.
right
There was no electronics in them whatsoever. They were just little plastic things where you could
Oh, okay, all right,
magnify
all right. No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
film, basically.
I could have sworn the later ones had like a little bit, like a tiny.
What was crazy is like my mom or my dad, I can't remember, like I think it was my mom, still had like all her old picture wheels from when she was a kid. So the toy didn't change in years and years. So I had all these like super old ones that worked too. It was like really, as a kid, it was really fascinating to me.
Look, Joe has
apparently
one.
Has one.
Because of course he does.
If you want to hear the classic noise. As a very sweet gift, Kelsey got me one year and made picture wheels.
All right,
Oh,
other
you can have those
oh.
made?
Oh,
Yeah, you can have them made. So she made one that was all pictures of us, and then one that was all pictures of like bands I like live. It was a very
I
sweet.
was gonna
idea.
have. I was gonna have the other four of us guess what weird thing you have in there, but it's something sweet. Way to
Yeah, it's
ruin
something
it.
sweet. It's not like it's not just minute by minute the building's falling or anything like that. Scene by scene.
I'm going to have a picture wheel sent to you of all just provocative photos of myself. You're welcome.
Boudoir photography.
It's gonna be Jay taking the Shawn Michaels pictures with the belt.
Oh, it's
Just
coming.
for you.
The belt over his crotch.
Tom kind of gave you one of those the other night.
That made my weekend. By the way, I meant to message Tom, but I forgot.
Little inside baseball.
Well, there were balls, all right.
So next we see a guard on the inside being pulled back and like choked by Jackson. Like it's basically the shot of like down the hallway, you see a guard just kind of standing there, and then like that typical like "What?" and like flung back. And now all the men are finally inside of the main building. And I would say maybe within 4 seconds of being in the building, they run into Ilsa.
yeah, they run like right down the hall into each other, and she's drinking a drink.
And they can
And,
hear like all the other girls off in the distance. And so they start like tracking the voices to go find all the other girls.
Correct. And is that when the other two Nazis run up with the dog?
Well, yes. So before they leave the area to plant a distraction ahead of time, Jackson plants, I would assume, another, unless it's the same one. Is it the same sexy bitch mode dog? Probably.
I think
think
it's the
so.
same one, yeah.
I mean, you don't need multiple sexy bitch dogs.
Well,
Well,
after
Apparently.
at a
After
moment,
this time, you're
yeah,
going to need another one, yeah.
because he sets one down, and then two guards walk up after the team has already left the room, and they get excited again, thinking it's Hitler's dog.
He goes, oh my God, it's Hitler's dog.
And that one just immediately like self-destructs, and you get to like that exterior shot of like all the explosions, which is again just toys you're seeing every
It's
time
just
they do
miniatures
victories.
being
Yeah.
lit on. It's like putting a firecracker inside of a Lego toy.
And then like on that note, you get the shot of all the girls being driven away. And what kind of vehicle is that? The one that has like the big opening.
Like an army truck? I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
like a people carrier, like a stake body truck.
Yeah, as I was like writing my notes down, I'm like, I don't know
I think it's a transport
what this vehicle is to write it down properly.
Transport vehicle, I think. Personnel vehicle or whatever. I don't know what they call it, but
But
it's
And the
that.
rest of them are all in motorcycles with one motor. Is it
No,
one
not
motorcycle?
motorcycles. They're all in a single motorcycle.
Or a single
Yeah,
motorcycle with
four
a
of
single
them.
sidecar, but they're all in it together.
yeah, 4 people. But
That visual killed me.
well, what got me was the truck or whatever, the people transporter. When they were showing that one, it was like so clearly like it's always just like the miniature models that they're going to, but in that particular case, it's like the pulled by a string, like super obviously fake
Yeah.
to show you that, and then it cuts to them all in the back with such a drastic difference when you're showing it from one to the other directly like that.
And then a Nazi, they're shooting guns at each other back and forth, and then a Nazi walks out wearing a gas mask for no reason and then shoots a bazooka.
Well, no, he wore the gas mask because he just gassed everybody in the back of the truck.
Oh, did I miss the gas? I was laughing
Yeah.
so hard at this that I legitimately missed the plot point.
There's a button with a swastika on it at the front of the truck that he hits that it like omits gas.
Okay, that was definitely a laugh.
In case you forget they're Nazis, they put
Yeah.
the swastika on the
You
button.
make the button as a swastika. The good old Volkswagen.
Imagine the production behind this, though, like, or anything that
$10.
has to do with World War II. You have to go and get a bunch of swastika shit made, and like it's in a warehouse somewhere, but a factory had to make it. It's just really weird.
I'd be
to
so
do that.
uncomfortable being like the flag factory that's like, I don't want to make
It's
these.
just sewing this thing. This feels wrong.
I feel like what's worse for that though is when you're in a show like Justified or Sons of Anarchy and you're playing like a white supremacist character where they put the
Yeah.
tattoos all over you because you can't wash them off
like-
in between takes. Yeah, so
Scrubbing it
like,
off because you can't go to the bank.
right, yeah, the dude from Justified needs to cash his check or wants to go get Burger King or some food off the lot or whatever, and his throat says Hail Hitler, and he has to be like, fuck, I can't go today. Because that stuff is hard to put on, and it's hard to take off, too, right? And if you're going to do more takes, like, it's a nightmare.
Maybe they have just like skin colored makeup they throw over it.
He's hanging in his trailer. He's not going to Burger King with that.
Yeah, if it's on
Yeah.
your arms and stuff, I think you just put a jacket on. If you have, like, throat or head tattoos, you gotta stay in the lot.
You said the stagehand.
But
Yeah,
you mentioned
you send it like a PA or somebody for your food.
you
Give me my burgers now.
you mentioned the bazooka. The bazooka takes out like this bridge as the truck's driving by, basically leaving the team stuck on the other side of it with their sole motorcycle. And at first, I think Jackson wanted to try to jump it, but it was way too far. for
He
that
says,
to be
we
able
can
to-
jump it. It's like a whole bridge.
Although with this show, obviously,
I expected them to try.
yeah, it could have easily
Yeah, me
happened.
too.
It worked in Armageddon.
So now they're stuck on the other side and they're talking, and Ilsa then shows them the viewfinder, and like they're clicking through to see all the photos she took of the blueprints and whatnot. And also this is when she tells them about like the plans for Hitler's birthday party and that they're supposed to have like a dance performance. So she's cluing them in with everything that she learned being on the inside. This is the first time it dawned on me that she's speaking in Russian to them
This
and
is
that
what
they
it
can
took you.
understand it. This far in was I was like, wait a minute, she's speaking Russian. But so Jackson refuses to help the girls because now he knows the plans for the other monuments, one being the Statue of Liberty. Jackson being the super American one out of the group. He tries to recruit the rest of the team to go with him because the monuments are more important than his own teammate and all these other human lives. They're not on board. The other guys are not on board. At first, Ilsa was on board, but then she has this like thought bubble over her head, which is like throwback style cartoons of like Hitler like swooning over Claire and then Claire saving the day and getting all the adulation. So now she can't not be present just in case Claire gets all the glory. So she has to side with the rest of the team and then go and rescue the girls.
It basically, Celeste shoots Hitler and then is given a trophy by Il Presidente.
Celeste is the Pierre's.
Oh, sorry, Claire
lady
does
friend.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
It looks
That
like the
messed me up a
cartoon
couple
looked like the
times.
beginning of the Bewitched.
Yes, it was like the Bewitched opening.
It was like the Bewitched intro,
Yes.
Yeah.
Good call. So now we cut to Goebbels, who's with the technical director of the party, and they're watching this rehearsal of all the girls doing their dance routine. And it's a very simple dance, and then in the back there's just this big flaming swastika that's part of it.
The best part about it is it takes, because it's 1940, whatever, it takes somebody to then walk up, obviously on screen,
Yeah.
to light the swastika on fire. I love that so much.
Goebbels wasn't pleased with the quality of this performance, and the technical director acknowledged that and realized, okay, and just instantly shoots himself. I think maybe the third time that's happened now.
It's the
this
third or
episode.
fourth time that someone just puts the gun in their mouth.
So
And then
now,
he yells, "Get me a new technical director."
yes, at which we now discover is Tucker in disguise.
Now, what was their plan if he didn't shoot himself?
I guess they would have shot him.
Yeah, you got to throw a lot of logic out of the window when you're
Yeah.
dissecting a show like
Yeah.
this. Tucker's now introducing himself, and he's also with Pierre and Ilsa. Ilsa's dressed up, at least in the same costume as the other girls, so that was more believable. Pierre is just there. They don't even try to describe what he's doing there, correct?
No,
Yeah,
he's
it's
just there in
never-
regular clothes.
Yeah. Just to fuck with you more, he's just there.
Yeah. And also present is this giant crate that he has that he tells Goebbels is full of costumes that would blow the Fuhrer away. And he says it in such a way that we as the listener or viewer are meant to know that there's some sort of explosives inside of this crate.
Didn't
Resistance
Glorious
Grade,
Bastards
bang, bang.
steal the plot of this show?
Inglorious Bastards came out way before this.
No, it did not.
When did?
I don't remember when it did come out, but it was
Oh, maybe you're
2012?
right.
it was before this.
It was 2009, so it predated
Oh,
it by 3
yeah.
Well, I
years.
can't
Yeah.
for it. Did this steal the plot of Inglorious Bastards?
Well, there's definitely a lot of blow up Hitler stuff. There's actually a mission that failed, Operation Valkyrie. That
Yeah.
was an explosion, like a bomb in a chateau trying to kill Hitler. So people were trying to blow up Hitler all the time.
Wasn't that like a movie starring Tom Hanks? Too? Not
Tom
Hanks,
Cruise,
Tom
they made
Cruise.
a movie with later. It would have been a way better movie with Tom Hanks.
Everything's better with Tom Hanks.
Agreed.
There was a video of someone throwing something at his wife recently or something like that, and he freaks out and
Yeah.
Good.
swears at him, and I was not prepared for angry Tom Hanks.
Yeah, Tom Hanks goes, "Back the fuck up."
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit.
I was like, I'm not supposed to be watching this.
Who threw something at Rita Wilson? She seems so nice.
This is people.
No,
man.
nobody
They're just-
threw anything at her. It was paparazzi were following her, and one of them
Oh.
bumped her, and she kind of fell off the
Okay,
curb a
okay.
little bit.
I saw the clip a few days ago briefly.
But
I
the
didn't remember all
fucked
the
up thing
details.
is paparazzi do that shit on purpose. They accidentally bump into people to, go to
Get a
the
reaction.
reaction. And
Yeah.
that's what happened, and they got it.
What a bunch of goddamn parasites.
They really are.
And then Goebbels wants to inspect this crate, which I guess rightfully so, and see these costumes that he was just told about. Right before that could happen, he gets called away because he has to go look at something else. Now the team kind of has a little bit of time to discuss their plan now that he's not there anymore. And Claire's insisting that she had everything under control. And Tucker said that she was in one real Wednesday casserole of a situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what
Didn't
the
know
hell
that
that
one.
meant.
Don't
Yeah,
know
I
what
had
that
I had
means,
nothing
yeah.
for that one. And tells her about the plan to put on this amazing performance, and then when they ask for an encore, they'll deliver them an encore of bullets. I like how it's still important to him that instead of just getting right into the guns, the amazing performance has to happen first.
Well, they're spies. They got to be believable.
If you're just going to kill everyone after, it doesn't. What's that extra 2 minutes going to do?
Because then we don't get one of the greatest scenes in this show's history.
The television history.
Well, Sure.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it because one of these things made me just bowl over laughing.
From here, when the assistant Goebbels comes back, he again gets into the I want to see what's inside of this crate. He grabs a crowbar, and as he's struggling to open it, you just kind of see all these various shots of each of the members of the team kind of holding a weapon behind them, whether it be a grenade or a knife or a gun. But in Pierre's case, it was like a snack. He had like a bag of chips or something behind his back.
Jumbo Crunch.
So a quick little gag there. The crate finally opens and you see like a swan costume resting on the top. Side note, these swan costumes have existed in like ballet and stuff before. I've always found them to be completely creepy.
They're a little creepy.
Oh yeah, they're definitely creepy.
I never really understood like the elegance of the swan head. Like it's just like,
Yeah,
I don't
it's weird.
need that.
It's because of the ballet Swan Lake. I think
But
that it
but
just sort
yeah,
of
I get what it
became a
why,
thing, but yeah,
that
I don't
became
agree
a
with it.
thing because they wrote that to be a thing. So like, why did Swan Lake do it? Why do they need actual swan heads? Not real swan heads, but
Because you have
That would
to,
be
you have to
weirder.
depict that they're a swan, and you can't stretch a human's neck.
you
Well,
can do
if
it
you stretch
without
it
like
and you curl it
the
over a
beak.
bunch, it'll become a swan sticker.
Did you make a Nazi swan joke?
When in Rome. You got Ferg to laugh.
Moving right along. So now Goebbels is pleased because apparently Hitler is a big fan of swans. And then
Of course
you
it
cut
would be.
Yeah. You cut back to America now where Jackson and a couple of soldiers with like a tank are watching over the Statue of Liberty. And one of the Zeppelins comes in a frame and they immediately blow that one up. And there's something about the way that they perceive American soldiers and Jackson's character in general that I get a big kick out of. Because I do think it's a little bit of a look into how the world views us with that ultra patriotic, like, America, like,
Oh, for sure.
let's go
yeah.
blow them up. Like, I can definitely see why that's the perception.
And
This-
it's a
this
very
is another
Team
scene that
America
feels-
world, another Team America type of thing.
Yeah.
This whole-
I was just
the
going to say,
whole
this
thing,
scene also feels like Team America, yeah.
which did come out first, so maybe they copied that.
Perhaps, maybe they might have borrowed from a few things.
After I
America.
was wrong, I had to look up the date for that.
We're the worst.
So now the next Zeppelin starts to like shoot like this thick gas, which knocks out the two soldiers that are with Jackson, but not Jackson himself because he's smoking cigarettes. Because
Army
Special
issued
army
cigarettes.
cigarettes.
Yeah,
That's
because-
menthol.
They
Well,
coat
that's
your
the
lungs
thing.
with a protective layer.
well, yeah, so that's what the soldier says to him, and he goes like, "Oh, I wish they had given me one." But he has a cigarette in his helmet as he's saying this and choking to death.
Yeah, I mean, I like how he could have also just given him a drag.
Yeah, like if that was the case, then he would have just been able to give one to everybody. I'm sure he has a full pack of them.
It was too late. They already breathed it in.
The soldier had a cigarette in his helmet, and he's like, "Are those one of them cigarettes with the menthol? Like, you have one."
Maybe it wasn't a menthol. Maybe he's not
that
a
could
menthol
have been
man.
just a standard, like a Lucky Strike.
It could have. I picked the wrong one.
It's not my lucky day.
And yeah, so they take off with the Statue of Liberty. So we go back to the party now, or the first time that we're actually seeing the party itself, Hitler's birthday party, that is. And on stage is a bear playing piano.
This
He's actually playing Flight of the Valkyries.
Yeah, yeah.
and I love how the
Bear's
trainer
costume.
comes out and he's like, faster bear. Bear faster. And the bear, you just see the animatronic bear trying to play the piano faster, and you hear him go like, "Arr, arr, arr," and then the trainer kills himself.
Yeah, because Hitler says, like, he asks if the bear is to adagio, which I looked up, which means like slow in tempo.
Yeah.
So the trainer knew, he's like, he's not going fast enough. And then Hitler, who apparently has a great ear for music, went, a little off. And
He let
knowing
down
that
Hitler,
he didn't
so he
approve,
shoots
yeah,
himself.
the trainer then shoots himself as well.
I'm kind of sad the bear didn't do the same thing. Like that
Yeah,
would have been
God,
like an over the
come
top
on.
scene.
I would have.
Bear
I would
died.
have had to shut the show off because it would have. I would have died laughing.
Yeah,
if
that
the
bear gave me a
shot
big,
himself.
like a big Muppets vibe. I couldn't. Oh, come on, Joe. Why do you want to see me shoot
I was gonna
myself?
say, I don't recall this scene at Clark's Trading Post, but maybe next summer.
Not cool, man.
Which bear is that in the Muppets? What's his name?
His name is escaping me now. It's
driving
gonna
me nuts. I
kill
can't
me.
remember it. Yeah.
Ah, shit. Go back if you want to listen to our Muppets episode, by the way, too.
Come on, Fozzie.
By the way, the Muppet episode maybe are somehow, despite everything we're talking about now, maybe our filthiest episode. If you want to go back.
Yeah.
Bobo.
Bobo, yes.
God,
How did
we not
Bobo?
get that one?
I don't know. I just completely blanked at the time.
Yeah, just like the great Aerosmith album, Honkin' on Bobo.
Oh,
With Hitler's harmonica. Skibber-dabba-dabba.
I'm not playing that party.
Shut up, Jesse.
So,
Oh, too many references.
a lot going on at once. Yeah, people's brains are exploding right now. Meanwhile, at the party, Hitler is receiving his giant birthday pretzel.
I would be
Had on the
I'd
list
prefer
of
that to
things
a
you
cake.
never thought you'd say.
Right. And
Girls
girls
aren't pretzels typically a Jewish delicacy?
That's
No,
a
they're
German.
German,
I think it's German. So
And
I mean, it could be
Hitler's
German
both,
Jew, though.
yeah.
German Jewish though.
but he notices Gerbils notices Gerbils.
Gerbils.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
is
Just
it-
go with it.
Yeah, his
These
assistant
gerbils
Gerbils notices like on the napkin, it was like one of the Nazi like eagles. Where the swastika would be typically on that logo was replaced by a smiley face. I didn't get why that happened.
No,
I
and why
didn't
he
either.
was so enamored when he saw it, because it doesn't signal to anything else.
Right,
I
it
thought
wasn't
was
like,
a
the.
calling card left by the team.
But why would they do that?
I don't know. That's just what I thought it was. I don't know.
Or you think there would be like a 5 in there or something? You know, like just something that was symbolic to them, not just like a smiley face in it.
I like the idea too that they're also in the linen business.
Yeah, they go all in with their props. They plan ahead. So now the girls enter the funk room, which translated from German to mean radio room.
Yeah, it's a radio room.
So it's it's basically their control center, and they throw knives at the 2 guards that are in there. So it kind of allows them to bring the other guys from the team into kind of use that now as their central command center while they're
Such a high
doing their
body
plan.
count in this episode.
A lot. And while working, Tucker doesn't understand how those crates got swapped. Up to this point, I'll be honest, when he mentioned that, I didn't notice that there was an issue. I just thought they put one costume on top of all the guns or whatever to like hide them. I
Right,
never.
That's how these movies usually work.
So like at this
Yeah.
point, I didn't think that like the crates got swapped and that this was like not their weapons. I just thought, oh, it worked. He didn't notice the guns under the costume.
No, I figured it out because of their reaction when the swan head got pulled out.
Yeah, I
They
went
were all
again.
confused.
So much is happening at once that went over my head. I just thought that was the regular old crate. They got by with one they didn't think they were gonna.
It also
But-
would have been funnier if they tried to kill them with the swan costume.
But that's when Celeste, who's Pierre's ex, reveals herself as the insider who's kind of given all this information and pulls a gun out on the team and says that she had the crate swapped back at like the cargo bay way back at the beginning of all of this. And as Celeste tells them her plan to turn them into Hitler, Pierre is like sobbing uncontrollably. And she's like, this is your fault. You let me think you were dead for 2 years. And now it's time for you to pay. So, like, this isn't even about her aligning herself with Hitler, I guess. It's more about just revenge on Pierre.
Yeah, this is just like a scorn from relationship.
No, it's because she was already a spy going against the resistance to begin with. That was just a convenient help.
Okay.
Because when they're in the bar, they're talking about how there's already a mole. Some feeding them info.
Oh, good
So,
pull.
Claire enters the room, leaving Ilsa alone to, like, guard the door. Because after they, I don't know if I made that clear. After they let all the guys in to work out of that room, those 2 girls have been acting as the guards outside. But Claire heads inside.
I believe this leaves Ilsa outside the door, correct?
Right, no, yeah. So I said that. So Ilsa's alone outside, and now Goebbels walks by. And before he got there, she does like a thing which I didn't get. So she goes to drink from her flask, and she puts her like arm over the flask when she takes a sip. Did you guys catch that? Is that
I didn't
a
notice
thing?
that.
I didn't know what it was.
I didn't notice.
I can't I can't give you the visual because obviously this is an audio podcast. But she's holding her flask, and she drapes her other arm over the flask, like her forearm, and then like goes up with both when she goes to take the sip. It was very odd. I didn't know what that meant. If that was
trying to hide that she's drinking.
When you,
I didn't notice.
guess,
At this
but
point, I
to be
imagine she's not
honest,
trying to
so-
hide too much. Yeah.
maybe that was the motive, but it seemed like odd to need to do that. But inside now there's a standoff between Celeste and Claire. So now they're holding guns at one another. But because she's distracted by Claire, Pierre's able to shoot his ex, but heads over to her and he's like sobbing uncontrollably still. He's very emotionally caught up with everything happening now. She, even though was plotting to have him turned into Hitler, in her final breaths, now give him the recipe to another perfect drink. This one called the Heil Hitler.
But it's pretty bitter.
I forget. I was going to write down all the drinks, and I thought for sure Joe was going to have all the drink recipes written down. So I was like, oh, I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, it got too much. They kept saying them all, and it was just too many to keep track of.
And after that, we get back to the outside where what happened when Ilsa's watching the front door? How did she get Goebbels to not come in?
Joe, would you like to handle this? When Goebbels all right, so Goebbels comes up,
I want to see which word you use.
and she tries to go in, and Ilsa does the
Blowjob finger.
the blowjob finger to him, and he says, "What are you doing here?" And she goes, "Anything you want," and then does the blowy finger to him.
I love that you're using your hands for this.
I am, yeah, like the reader can see this.
But at this point, this is after
also
that
don't have
discussion.
readers.
Yeah,
We also-
we're getting to like past that happening. I blew past that.
Right,
initially.
she
No-
comes
no
up
pun intended.
from. She's obviously.
she blew him.
Yeah, she
gave him
performed oral on him, and then she's coming up after finishing. And
Gave
there's
him
no fight, there's no
dome.
anything. She doesn't kill him. He just turns satisfied and walks away.
Yeah, he's like, okay, thanks. And he
He's
just
like, "Well, that was
leaves.
cool.
Yeah.
That was a fun 2 minutes. Thanks. See you later."
Yeah,
And now we get back to the party, and on stage is another dog who's sitting there, and everyone's in absolute silence. And they're just watching this dog. And then after a good solid 30 seconds, the dog just barks once, and the subtitle under it just reads Germany, and the crowd explodes with applause.
was
That was a
that
tough act to follow.
was that Hitler's dog?
Maybe that was his actual
That one
dog.
may have finally been Hitler's dog. Yeah.
It just makes me think of the cheap pops in wrestling when they say the name of the town or
Yeah,
the city. they're
Trenton,
in,
New
and everyone goes
Jersey.
nuts.
And the assistant Goebbels now announces the ultimate birthday surprise and points everyone to look outside the window. And this is when we see their mission had successfully been completed, and they built the ultimate monument with this giant Hitler statue. And you get a nod of approval from Hitler. So
The scale is so funny for this statue too, where it just looks like it's 4 feet tall.
but when you think like to scale, think of how big the Statue of Liberty is.
Yeah, if it's just an arm.
It's just the arm, yeah. Like
Right, but I'm saying like the way they show it doesn't look
Oh,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
massive. It looks like they're showing them one that is 4 feet tall. Like it looks like they're showing him the model of what they're hoping to later on achieve. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Like the Spinal Tap Stonehenge?
Yes, this is very much a Spinal Tap Stonehenge scenario.
I just think it's funny that he didn't know it was there because it's that big and right outside the
It's
window.
that
yeah, like
Yeah,
you
how
should
do
hear
you
like
hide that?
you'd hear like the cranes dropping pieces and stuff like that.
There would have been a shadow on the building all day.
What is that noise?
Like, was that the first person to do the German accent? I feel like I have to
No,
figure
I
out
was
with
not.
you editing.
I was not. I definitely was not.
No, I think you were.
We'll check the tapes back.
Hey, when you guys edit, can you take us all out so he's wrong?
Yeah.
Either way, Jay, this is how it's gonna go.
So, inside of the Statue of Liberty is where Jackson is. So he traveled via being carried over, and rode the Statue of Liberty all the way over to Germany.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, because he's inside. Like,
He's
been
doing basically, there's a bunch of this episode at the end that becomes Ghostbusters 2, where they're just like controlling the Statue of Liberty.
There's a point later where it was like hilarious to me, but
You know, the good Ghostbusters sequel, Jay.
I wouldn't call it the good one either.
Hey,
Oh,
It's better than the one Jay's in.
2016
It was
one.
definitely well, Jay's wasn't a sequel. It was a terrible remake
I guess
that he
that's
wrote
true.
and started. Boo,
wouldn't-
Jay.
Listen, you're half right.
Wrote and starred.
I certainly starred in the movie, but I did not write the movie. For those of you who want to watch Ghostbusters 2016, some say the best Ghostbusters movie.
They stripped Jay's.
If you want to look for Jay, Jay was actually Melissa McCarthy.
I looked like her at that point in my life. I was a little bigger than I even am now, with a really awkward hair length. I was growing my hair out, and it wasn't quite long yet. When you grow your hair out, it doesn't just get long one day. It takes time. So there's just a point where your hair is at a weird point. That's where I was. I didn't plan on being in a movie in the middle of that.
Did you also have long hair the time you pooped in a stranger's house? Like, just greasy long hair and just like a tank top. I don't know.
Everyone's
you-
a stranger until you meet them.
I'll tell you this: he had his long hair when he broke his ankle at Epcot and had to ride around on the motorized scooter.
You know, life's not always so easy for this guy. But you just gotta soldier on. They're expensive.
We waited at the Magic Kingdom, and Jay comes up and he goes, "Ding ding," on the scooter. Oh boy, that was.
How did
Oh,
you hurt
funny.
your ankle that time?
My ankle is forever injured.
Yeah, but you
So, well,
didn't. It was funny that
He slipped
you
in pee-pee.
Slipped in pee. That's what
I didn't slip and pee. They just cleaned the bathroom at Disney. So hold on. Let me backtrack a little bit for people. We'll get into a little tangent, but it's already a long episode, so
You will forever have slipped in pee in my story.
all right. Well, I'll give the real version real quick. So we headed down to Orlando, and we're doing a day at Disney. And on this trip, my ankle is already really bad. I have a lot of issues with my ankle. And at that point, it was really flared up. I was having a very hard time walking around the entire trip. It was just starting to get maybe a little bit better, like that I could get through the day. And I go to the bathroom, and as I'm leaving, the bathroom is slick, like freshly mopped. It feels like they mopped it with oil.
They didn't. That was pee-pee.
It was definitely
Okay.
pee on the ground.
Well, someone peed near the door, apparently, and not near the bathroom, like the stalls. In any event, I slipped and my ankle twisted again, re-aggravating it. And we then had to walk, I think it was about 7 miles we walked through Epcot. And I did that in excruciating pain. We finally get to the Magic Kingdom, and I'm seized up. I can't walk anymore. It's just like I've taken every step I could possibly take and then some. So I have to get one of these old people carts to get around. Yeah, long story short, we had to wait a little while. I got one. They are very expensive. And then you have this demoralizing just having to roll around in a cart all day at Disney. And like I'm a big guy, so now everyone just thinks I'm a big lazy guy who doesn't want to walk around the park.
You've
So-
done a lot of embarrassing things in your lifetime. They don't usually affect you. This is the most like sad I've ever seen you look in something.
I hate
Your
it.
pride was hurt so bad.
The worst
Driving
is
around on the scooter.
like
It was the
Wait.
first time I've ever been to Disney, by the way. So like,
Ruined my Disney trip.
I just remember you coming up, and I just remember Ferg bawling, laughing. like as soon as Jay comes up, Ferg just loses it, and that vividly sticks out in my head. That you
Did you mention it? That can't be cheap, right?
no,
they're not cheap, no.
No.
There's something like They
They're
are
$80
$70, but you get 20 back, so you're ultimately paying $50 or something like that.
That's still too expensive for that shit.
For something that you don't get to keep, yes. Just for the privilege of getting to ride around an electric cart. Yeah, it's a lot of money.
I don't know though, $50 versus walking around anymore. I think it's a deal.
Well, I had no choice, but it's money you don't plan on spending at the time. Or I didn't because I thought I'd be able to walk. Moving forward, unless there's anything else depressing about my life you want to bring up,
We'll get to the poop in someone's house. Story
I got
at
plenty
some
of
point.
embarrassing J
Yeah, don't let us
stories if you
think on
wanna
that
go into them.
Yeah, we have
Yeah, I was
episodes to
gonna
go
say.
here, guys. We get plenty of seasons to go.
moving forward again. So now we're back to the party where it's time to have supper before the final performance. But Hitler gets up because he wants to fetch Claire and get straight to the post-performance boom boom that he wanted all along. So he just gets up and leaves so he can nut. And
That really upsets Goebbels.
Goebbels is very
He's
upset
very
by
sad,
it because he's very proud of this party that he's curated. Like everything's been very carefully planned to give him this grand birthday. Because Hitler did say that it was like the best birthday party he's had.
If there was ever a time for the suicide thing, Goebbels should have shot himself there. That was like an appropriate one because
Yeah, it
he
seems
put so
weird
much
that he
work in
didn't
and got let
considering
down.
what everyone else did.
But usually every other time it's because of disapproval. Like he's
Yeah,
not receiving disapproval. It's just that he's not getting the satisfactory of knowing that he did a job well done.
I suppose. Didn't get to see the big dance number that he worked so hard
Yeah.
on setting up.
Well, I like that. So they get Claire because now it's time to go meet Hitler in his back room. And like she enters the room and he's like laying under a table. And like with this
Yeah.
really excited face. Like it was like you'd think he'd be like laying in a bed or on the couch, but he's like under a table.
Do you
It's
not
almo-
get
it's
what this
almo-
is?
No. Is this a cucka thing?
This is a cucka. This is a very sexual thing, or pee.
Oh,
That's why it's a glass coffee table.
Got it.
It's so you can do the thing, you can watch it happen, but it doesn't get on you.
Got it.
Oh, okay.
Gordo should have picked up on that.
Yeah, I'm surprised Gordon didn't pick
I-
up on that.
I thought that he was in like a Curacao case, and that was like I don't know
what?
why, like a Curacao case.
I don't know what that is.
I don't
It's like
either.
a case. It's like a knick-knack case.
Uncle Knick-Knack?
No,
Well,
like
in any
a,
event, yeah.
like,
So
like
that's
a knick-knack case. It's just like a thin railed case.
Okay, sure, makes sense. Yeah, but
Moving
no, this is
forward,
a
yeah.
very common fetish is under the glass coffee table.
and it
I
was
did
a
not
quick
know that.
it was a quick cutaway, and then we get back to the party where Goebbels is sadly announcing the final act because he keeps looking over and Hitler's chair is empty, so he's not there to see this final performance. So everyone's sitting there, and it's time to see the final dance number. And you see Ilsa standing like tall, and she's holding like two white sheets out, like so she is the swan. There's a swan head peeking over from her, and her arms extended out like wings. Then she drops her arms, and all the girls pop out from the sides. And then under her is Jackson, who's like, oh, not Jackson, Tucker, I'm sorry. Tucker's the one holding her up on his shoulders, and they all have guns. And they just decimate the room and just slaughter everybody.
Yeah, this is great. They just mow people down.
And yeah, it was pretty, it's graphic, but it's not because they're not, it's like you see people get shot, but it's never
It's
too
like goofy
gory on this.
graphic,
Yeah.
but still graphic. It is weird.
Everybody who
So
gets
it's funny.
shot in this show, they get shot and then they like themselves jump out of screen. Like
Yeah.
it's so comical.
Yeah, it's never like gruesome in that way, so which is good, I guess, if you're gonna put this much murder in an episode of television. And then we cut back to Claire, who's with Hitler, and they're like, she's like fighting him off, and he offers her like gold, fine chocolate, and children's teeth.
That's the
Among other
darkest part
things,
of this whole episode.
Should
to
have offered him
Yeah.
some Omaha steaks.
Hitler's not good
Should've.
enough for Omaha steaks.
I don't know if that placement, Nick, is gonna get the opportunity.
That is not
for
going to
it.
get us a sponsorship. But yeah, that's all being offered to, for her to spare his life, apparently. And yes, the children's teeth a little far.
That's the one joke in this where I'm like, that may be a step too far. That's like
Maybe
a
have we
U-Bowl movie
considered
joke.
that he is the tooth fairy? I mean, it doesn't have to be that dark.
the Tooth Führer.
There you go. Yeah.
There it is.
I hate myself for laughing at so many Nazi puns.
I did not see all of these puns coming.
This is the episode that's going to get us in trouble. But yeah, during the fight, Jackson is walking by and he can hear noise from outside the door. So he then kicks the door down because he thinks he's about to help Claire out, but it distracts her just long enough for Hitler to run out of the room. He has this kind of like funny little run when he gets out, but it ruins her plan. And then we go back to the main party room where more soldiers must have like entered. So everyone's in a big fight, which is weird because everyone has guns, but everyone's like fist fighting.
It's an old West. It's like a
Yeah.
cowboy movie barroom saloon fight, which is pretty
Yeah.
great.
The like Goebbels walks in and the whole like Danger 5 team all pull guns out on him. But before they can do anything, Hitler pulls out a gun, killing him first. And then they all go to turn their guns to Hitler now, but then he runs away and jumps out of the window. And like the cutaway is like, it's like the whole shot of the jumping out the window is like different footage from everything else that they've used. It's very obviously like not their own.
Yeah, it's very different. This seems also like almost Mel Brooksy, this scene.
And I'm not sure. I think upon reading about this show, they use that same clip of Hitler jumping out of the window maybe
Yeah.
every episode.
Yeah, that's the trope.
That's like the way he gets away. That's like how in Trauma
Correct.
they blow up the same car. Or they use the same scene of a car blowing up every movie, even though
Yeah.
it's 30 years old now and doesn't make any sense.
So now the team's kind of all fighting each other now because they let Hitler get away. And then it kind of cuts to them inside of the Statue of Liberty to like what we believe to be like the command center of the Statue of Liberty. And they use it as a rocket to escape the area. But in the process, again,
Destroys other
yeah,
monuments.
they use the Statue of Liberty as a rocket because apparently it has all these things equipped in them, equipped in it, so it has these abilities. But yeah, it destroys every other monument that was under it by doing so.
Again, that's very Team America. Them
It's
very
destroying
where
everything when they come to save. the
Yeah, but
day.
it's weird because like this is more of an international group. Like everyone's represented for the except there's no one from Africa on the team. They got like Europe represented and Australia and America, but there's no like no Africa, no you have Asia technically through a Russian. So yeah, so it's just Africa's left out. And South America.
I was gonna say, who's the South American?
Yeah. So they covered half
Well,
of it.
eventually that's where just all the Nazis end up, so.
And yeah, so they're now flying off. And as they fly away, Tucker tells them that, you know, the world doesn't need monuments to, you know, keep people from wanting to kill themselves because there's something else that does a much better job of that. Something that starts with the letter L. And then as they're talking, it pans to the side, revealing Renee, the man who is friends with Pierre, who got murdered way earlier in the episode. And he's doing an advertisement for Muchacho breath mints.
Just what
And
the
it
fuck?
has like there's like a voiceover doing the ad read while he's standing there like modeling the breath mints. Very weird. And it was the last part of the episode, except for the credits rolling, which was the credits rolled over clips of them all back at headquarters where they're celebrating. There's even a
With the
mission
eagle.
accomplished.
Where you see the Colonel.
Yeah, the colonel's back. There's a mission accomplished banner, and they're all celebrating. But did you notice Hitler's at the party?
Yes.
Yes.
It's so insane.
So that is literally, I have a lot of notes here, but my final note written is, why is Hitler at the party?
Maybe he's a double agent, and that's why it was mission accomplished and not mission failure.
I
Yeah,
feel like
because
making
Hitler
this
just likes
show
to
was a
party.
challenge to people like us. Like, make heads or tails of this and try to talk about it for 2 hours. We talked about it for 2 hours. I don't think we made heads or tails of it. You know what I mean?
It was
No.
it's a very interesting show. I watched it twice. I watched it once through, and then I watched it again to take notes. And I think I needed to see it a second time to get a better vibe for what the show really was. But yeah, that concludes the episode. For those of you who were able to follow along with us, there was a lot going on, I understand. So I would recommend seeking this show out, giving it a shot, and watching the first episode, there's a lot to unpack. It's a very unique style show versus anything else we've covered. Again, it's made to be like those old throwback spy shows, and they did a wonderful job of recreating that look and feel to the point where some of the people here did not even know that it was a more modern day show.
Yeah,
That being said,
I'm surprised that it actually got Nick and Ferg.
I mean, it was shot really well. I mean, they did,
they did a really good job.
recreating.
I have watched so many of those things that seeing that, I just didn't even question it because that's how well they recreated the look. Oh, they did a very good job.
And is there anything you guys want to say about this show before we move forward?
Though I just think it's great, and I think this is so weird, and I love watching stuff. Sometimes it's this weird that when it works, you know what I mean? Sometimes weird doesn't work. This is weird that works to me.
So I guess the only thing left to do is the green light or cancel. Gordo, I'm starting with you.
This is a green light because it's just so weird. It's so eclectic. It's so funny. It's so off the wall. I want to see what they do next. I understand what you guys were saying. Maybe the 30-minute is a little bit too long for something like this to be so in your face. But I am still very, very curious to see what episode 2 and beyond brings. So because of that, and because of the Colonel, and because of the bear and the dog, I'm giving it a green light.
Joe.
The Colonel. Green light.
Nick.
I liked this. I thought it was really funny. It wasn't what I expected at all. I was really surprised about when it was made. Like we just discussed, they did a really, really good job of making it look older, which I imagine is tougher to do than it sounds. It was, like Gordo said, it was off the wall. It was crazy. I did really enjoy this episode. I am going to cancel it, though, because like Ferg had mentioned earlier, and I couldn't really put my finger on it, what it was. I don't think it's sustainable funny. Like I was like, I don't know if you guys, I was like tired after I watched this. Like so much happened, and I didn't really comprehend most of it. I don't think you're meant to comprehend most of it. It's supposed to just be, quick one after the other. Goofy thing. And they did it really well. I'm not trying to shit on this show at all. I think they did a really good job at exactly what they were trying to do. But when I'm trying to judge a show, it goes by how much I want to see the next episode. And I don't think I could handle more of this. Like, and then that's just me. Like, I don't blame anybody for greenlighting this one. I can see why you would. But if I'm being totally honest, that's why I'm canceling. I think it's good as a one-off thing. I just don't need more of it, though. So, cancel for me.
Ferg.
Although I agree with a lot Nick said, because, it was one of my points, I'm still going to greenlight it. This show just, it paid homage to so many things I love. I mean, I could compare it to Team America. I compared it to Mel Brooks stuff, Monty Python, everything. It was just rapid fire joke after joke after joke to the point that I'm going to have to watch it again to catch jokes I missed because I was laughing at previous jokes. Show was hilarious. Everything about it was good. I am worried about the longevity, like we said, and I do think it would make just a better, just movie, but I'm willing to give it the chance to find out. So green light for me.
So I've been super conflicted ever since I watched this episode a day or two ago. Upon watching it a second time, I'll be honest, actually, the first time I watched it was a definite cancel for me. I didn't even think it was that funny the first time I watched it. Because I don't know what it was I thought I was getting into. Watching it again today, I went into it kind of knowing more the vibe, because I was trying to get my head around it after the first time I watched it. And then when I drew, like I said earlier, the comparisons to Trauma and stuff like that, then I kind of loosened up a little bit. I'm like, okay, you know what? That's what this is supposed to be. It's supposed to be weird. It's supposed to have all this stuff to it. And that's the charm of what it is. So when I watched it back, I enjoyed it a lot more, and I've had a lot of fun talking to you guys about it. I'm still, as I'm talking, deciding how I want to vote. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Because here's the thing. I did enjoy it the second time around. Where I am most conflicted now is exactly what Ferg and Nick were talking about. This, to me, is a movie, or maybe a series of movies, but like as an actual ongoing weekly episodic thing, seems like it could run its course in a 30-minute format. I would guess, for me, ultimately, I guess I'm gonna greenlight it, and that's because, like Ferg, I'm curious enough to see episode 2. I do think that it's very easy for this to be like, okay, we've seen enough after X amount of time. But when you look at the run of the show, it only went 13 episodes in over 2 seasons, or series, as they call them there. So it wasn't really designed to have a long run. Or at least, if it was, it didn't have it. But there was enough there for me to want to watch another episode at least. I don't know if I'd want to binge and watch 13 episodes. I don't know if I'd have the energy for it. But I'm going to greenlight it based on a desire to at least see a little bit more. That being said, 4 out of 5 green lights. Congratulations, Danger 5. You do get the green light from us. You do live on to see another episode. But that's it. That's all the time we have for this week. I want to remind you guys again, S1E1pod.com has all the links where you can listen to us, everywhere we can subscribe on social media, give us follows. Usually S1E1 pod on most platforms like Instagram and Twitter. Love when you guys interact with us. Please keep doing that. Give us suggestions. Like Gordo said at the top of the episode, this episode here is very much suggested by people who listen. So we do listen to things like that and take that stuff to heart and discuss it. So if there's something that you want to hear us do or suggestions, let us know.
Also, this show is going to be very hard for us to share because not a lot of people have heard of it. So if you like what you hear here and you listen, please share this with your friends.
Yes, because there's not a lot of places we can post about this. It's a very niche show with topics that are message boards I don't want to be in.
No.
So that being said, again, congratulations to Danger 5. You get the green light from us. But that's all the time we have for this week. Thanks, guys. Tune in again next week where there will be another episode from us. Thanks, guys. Good night.
Are you the best talking dog?
Is that Hitler's dog?
Hitler's harmonica.
Big horny bird.